Assalamualaikum Malaysia, you are with me Nur Shazwani.
I am Intan Syuhada.
I am Ain Nazira.
I am Ilyana and you are watching Politik Utama.
Today's headline is about money laundering. An advertising company was charged by Bank Negara Malaysia on 30th October 2008 after being suspected of conducting illegal deposit amounting to 100 million ringgit and laundered a sum of 59 million ringgit. The company was fined 5 million ringgit. A director and his two daughters were charged of transferring money from the company to their personal accounts. The director was fined 1 million ringgit and sentenced to jail for 3 years due to the money laundering activities, and another 2 years for conducting illegal deposit taking. His first daughter was sentenced 2 years of imprisonment for money laundering and an additional year for illegal deposit taking, while the second daughter was sentenced to a year of jail due to the charge of guilty in money laundering. This was charged under Section 4, Subsection 1 of Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism of Financings and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act 2001. The section stated that any person who commits a money laundering of offence and shall on conviction be liable to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 15 years and shall also be liable to a fine of not less than 5 times the sum of value of the proceeds of unlawful activity of 5 million ringgit, whichever is the higher. Now, I'm going to pass to Intan Syuhada in the studio.
Thank you, Nur Shazwani. What is money laundering? It is a process used to hide the sources and ownership of money or assets obtained from the illegal activity. They want the dirty money to appear as a clean money to avoid prosecution, conviction, and confiscated of the criminal funds. These money laundering activities are divided into 3 stages, which are placement, layering, and integration. The first stage, placement, is the collection of cash generated from the criminal activity that be converted into a monetary instrument. The money launderer can hide the dirty money in a bank, invoice, and many platforms. The money launderer will divide the large sum of money into a small amount of money in the different types of transaction to avoid being tracked by the bank and others. The second stage is layering. The money is transferred to other financial institutions through series of the financial transactions. It commonly involves complex legitimate transactions because the money will be transferred through various types of bank accounts. They want the clean and dirty money to be difficult to differentiate. And lastly, there is an integration stage. Here, the money is reintroduced into the economy so that it will appear to belong to legitimate sources. The money launderer will choose to invest their money in stock market that has a high dividend to not only change the dirty money to the clean money, but also to invest and make a profit from it. Next, I will pass to the Ain.
Thank you, Intan. Now I will report in the news about causes of money laundering. One of the causes is tax evasion. Tax evasion results in the hiding of monetary assets owned by an individual or company. Tax evaders might perform manipulations by not reporting the proper amount of income received and by shift the money by hiding their identities. Secondly, weak financial regulations. Money laundering can arise from the weakness of financial regulations within a country. The financing regulatory authorities need to examine their policies repeatedly so that the politicians won't get to transfer the money at any given time. Besides, bribery also is one of the causes. It can happen due to ineffective financial regulations as the authority might be fooled by money launderers. They will transfer funds abroad without paying applicable taxes and the money will not be tracked. The last one is corruption. Corruption is from an unethical manner strive at gaining personal benefits by utilizing either authority or bribery. The politicians or ministers will shift the money to local or personal banks to avoid the realized off-bribe amount. Eventually, it will cause a movement of cash to foreign banks. Now, I will report in the next news to Ilyana.
Thank you, Ain. Now we move on to the effect of money laundering to a business. When a business are found involved in the money laundering, it will face long-term consequences as the company will have a bad reputation and the company will lose their trust from the stakeholder and also customers. Next is effect of money laundering in economy. When a business involved in money laundering, it will not be as productive as it was and it will reduce the tax revenue. A tax revenue is the most significant shares in public revenue. Therefore, when the public revenue decrease, it might not cover the public expenditure. And lastly, the effect to the society. When there is a lot of money laundering issues happening in the society, it will make the business owner lose their trust to the investors, as they will adopt the capital source that the investor wanted to invest to their business. With that, thank you for tuning in. Stay home and stay safe.